guys. Welcome back to the Skinny Truth podcast. Here with Dr. Roller today and some very special guests. But we did want to thank you, as always, for tuning in, listening on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We truly appreciate it. And we are so excited to dive in today.
All right. So as Laura alluded to, we have some very special guests. I'd like to introduce everybody to Nancy and Jack Harry. They are Laura's parents. So we are super excited to have you join us today. So number one, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
We want to get into, I think we touched on a few weeks ago on one of our shows about, how it was for the spouse and what they underwent when somebody was having surgery. So now we want to get the parents' perspective, and we're going to ask you questions, from when Laura was a child and some crazy stuff she did, so you can tell everybody some color on that. Yeah, the truth's coming out. And then we have a ton of questions from people that have messaged in, and we're just going to get your perspective on it. But let's just start with this. How did Laura break it to y'all that she was going to have weight loss surgery, and what were your thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, I call her Laura instead of Laura, so everybody else.
I say Laura,
but she's named after my mom, and that's how she pronounced it. So anyway, we're talking about the same person anyway.
Good.
But she has always been very determined in whatever she wanted to do. And we have conversations several times during the day. So one day she calls me up and she's like, I think I'm going to have weight loss surgery. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And I think she had already scheduled the consultation. And I mean, she was ready to go. When she sets her mind to something, it's going to happen. And there's nothing that's going to change her mind. I was really worried about it because I worked with a gal that had weight loss surgery, and she had nothing but problems. She had to have a feeding tube. She was in and out of the hospital. And so I talked to her about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm really nervous about this. But she was a smoker. And she said, if she doesn't smoke, that's probably, she'll probably be fine. And she has. She's been great.
That is something that happens a lot is someone says they're going to have surgery, then they go, well, I know someone who's had an issue.
Right.
But you probably know someone who's had an issue from lots of surgeries.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Gallbladders, hernias, and
sure.
It's just kind of how it is. And you don't really ever get into the conversation about what surgery they had, what did they do to cause in smoking. I bet you she had a gastric bypass. She was smoking, had ulcers, which you're not supposed to do. So what about the surgery? I mean, so that's why you're nervous about surgery, but what did she do to help alleviate your concerns about the surgery?
Probably.
Or you just like...
Well, she's just, she was so positive about it. I was a little hesitant because she's tried a lot of things throughout the years and nothing ever really stuck. So it's like, is this going to be another one of, we do it and there's no turning back at that point. I mean, her whole life is changed, good or bad, so that was just where I was coming from. But, obviously she's turned it out great.
Well, Laura, how did you feel like, what was their reaction? How did you interpret your parents' reaction to you telling them?
Honestly, I didn't really know that my mom, that they were I talk to my mom more. I mean, I love you, Dad, but Mom and I talk on the phone more.
I got it.
And so she didn't really express to me as worried as she was. I feel like when I told her, she's just like, okay, are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. And so I didn't really know how worried she was, but my parents have always supported me, in whatever I've done, even if they didn't necessarily agree with it. But they've just always been there to support me. So this was just another thing that I decided I was going to do. And they supported it, good or bad.
Okay. Okay. So back to Nancy and Jack. Before she told you she was having surgery, were you guys concerned about her weight and her health, for
Yeah.
kids,
Right.
almost 400 pounds? I mean, did you have concerns at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Laura, as Laura said, we talk several times a day. I mean, she calls me, I don't know how many times a day. Before surgery, she would call me, and especially when the babies were little, and I knew she needed to do something about her weight. And I'd say, well, why don't you take her for a walk, or why don't you do this, or what if you, and I would say something and it would make her mad, and she'd hang up on me, and I wouldn't hear from her for 2 weeks. And I'd tell, her dad, and he'd say, I can't believe she hung up on you. And I said, until she's happy with who she is, she's not going to be happy with anything else. So I said, it's just one of those things. And since she's had surgery, I don't think she's hung up on me once.
I think that's probably true. Yeah.
Oh, my wife talks to her mom every day too. So
Yep.
multiple times a day.
Yeah, we had looked at some pictures when we found out she was going to have this done, going way back, and she started getting a little chubby around the, I don't know, 5th or 6th grade, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it was before that, but
the thing about Laura, she tried everything. She was on the swimming team. She played tennis. She played what else? You're in all kinds of stuff, and so active and that type of thing. And then all of a sudden, she had the 4 kids and 3 little boys, and then Collins, and we had discussed. Nancy and I have discussed this and said, I'm really concerned, I mean, because these kids need her, and the rate she's going, and it's not happening. And the thing I noticed most of all is she was unhappy. She was just not a happy person. And, she loves to laugh, and she's the life of the party now, but she wasn't then. I mean, she would come to a family reunion, and she, wasn't a whole lot, she didn't want to sit down and discuss everything like she does now. But anyhow, the transformation of this has just been phenomenal. I can't get over it. And I think, she's got those earphones on now. I could have had her in broadcasting, but I think she's doing a lot better where she's headed right now.
yeah.
But
Yeah. So okay, so that's an interesting thing is, your child, adult child, has a problem, but if you said anything, Laura, you got mad. So how, and no one wants to create a situation, where it's just tense. So how is a parent, so is there anything they could have done different during that time to even talk to you about your weight and your health?
Honestly, I don't think so. And I kind of talk about this on my Instagram a lot. Somebody has to be ready to make the change. It is up to them. I mean, you can talk to somebody until they're blue in the face, but unless they're ready to tackle it, you're not going to. And I would if my mom ever, and they didn't really directly say things about my weight,
Right.
but if they would, I mean, I would have hung up the phone, like she said. Like, I just didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear other people's opinions, and I was truly so unhappy.
So putting the doctor's perspective on this, it is, if someone comes into your office and they have an issue like that, and you, obviously for us, people, they want their weight taken care of, but sometimes they come in for like gallbladders or hernias, and you have to have this discussion about weight. And it is really difficult to talk to somebody about it that's not ready to talk about it. And I think that goes back to maybe our very first episode we ever did on the aha moment.
Yeah.
The point. And I don't know how you get somebody to have the moment. I think it's just what you said. You can't. So you try, but it creates friction. But at some point, I think I would just say you kind of keep nudging. You kind of keep nudging and suggestions, just like with the kids, and maybe something will stick, or maybe you don't talk to them for 2 weeks because you get hung up on them. Now, Nancy and Jack, did you guys ever have weight issues?
I've put on weight, but like when I was her age, I didn't really. But as I got older, I definitely had put on weight, and because of her, I've started taking off some weight too. So she's been a great role model for us,
Yeah, that's
And it's
amazing. Yeah.
an inspiration for sure.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. What has the last couple of years been like for you as parents to watch her, and then just your whole family?
I think we're just so proud of her. She told me I'd probably cry, and I probably will.
I knew she would.
We always knew she had so much potential, but she tackled this thing. And like I said, I was hesitant whether she would really stick with it. But I mean, she dived into it. She did everything she was supposed to do. She watched everything she ate. She weighed every day and told me if she put on an ounce. And but what she's done with her life, and she's just a joy to be around now. I mean, used to be when we'd go visit or she'd be around, there wasn't a lot of real happy conversation. It was just kind of going through the motions. Now we can really enjoy being with her and her family. She's got a great family. We love her family so much.
We can't get over the change,
Yeah.
and how dramatic it has been. I mean, it's been phenomenal, really. And I am proud too, Laura. I'm so proud of you, and
Thank
I
you.
show pictures to my good friends and
Yeah.
everything, and they say, "Wow, that is really something. That's not the same person." I said, "No, it isn't. Physically or mentally."
Well,
So,
Yeah.
and I think on her birthday card, maybe last year or sometime, I told her that I really felt like her birthday should have been December 28th when she had the surgery, because she became a new person. And
Yeah.
she has just,
Mhm.
her personality has changed.
Mhm.
Everything has changed. She watches out for her family to make sure they don't go into this same pattern of being overweight. And of course, Luke's killing it now. And, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Have you noticed, like, did you ever think that Luke had a weight issue? I mean, did you ever look at him in that light and think that? Because he always got "you're not that big" comment,
Right. Well, I knew he was overweight, but he's a big guy, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
he can definitely carry more weight. But I knew, like he had a belly that wasn't good for him, but I knew that he could probably, slim down pretty easily if he really put his mind to it. And of course, after surgery, my gosh, he's just, he's the same as Laura. He's killing it.
Mhm.
Without a doubt. So what would you say, as parents? What is the best advice you could give to another set of parents whose adult child is going through this? How could they best support their adult child?
Well, we're about 400 miles away, so
Right.
that has been somewhat of an issue. But we get over, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year, something like that, and where we can spend time with her and the boys and Luke. But it's just you'll be so proud. I can't tell you. I looked at a video today. She was in an exercise, you know, up and down,
So
up and
she was
down.
doing pull-ups.
I
Right.
said, "My God, look at this." I said, because then she had the picture before that when she was very heavy,
Right.
the old Laura. And I thought, boy, this is really something. So Nancy now comes to me and says, "You want to take a quick walk?" I said, "Yeah, let's do that." So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's affected us in that manner too. And we've both been watching our weight. I've lost quite a bit of weight, and Nancy has too. So, it's just,
So what would you tell? I mean, let's say another set of parents came. You guys were going to dinner, and with another set of parents, and they go, "You're never going to believe it. Our son Jack has told us he's having weight loss surgery next week."
Yeah.
I think you just have to be there and support them any way that you can.
Yeah.
Just try to be a cheerleader for them, because there's going to be times that if she put on 2 pounds one day, and she'd be really disheartened. Why did I put on 2 pounds? What did I eat? And it's like, honey, you're going to lose it. You're doing everything you need to do. Just be patient. Uh, so I think the only thing you can do is just be there and support them any way you can.
Well, I would say, one thing is that you guys have done. I mean, you allowed Luke and Laura to come over to Arkansas to have surgery. You took care of the kids. I mean, there's a lot of things, that you have enabled to make happen. So I know you've been supportive, but you also physically made it happen.
Well, yeah, and Laura has a great father-in-law that is there all the time to help with the kids too. So, and he's right there. He gets the brunt of the child, helping with the children, but
Right.
but they have a great support system, I think. So,
Okay, here's a question for all of y'all. When you guys get together as a family, how are food choices made? How are dinner choices made? Like Christmas, Thanksgiving, regular dinners when you come over for the weekends? Has that changed from
well,
before surgery to after surgery?
I don't really think that it's changed a whole bunch. I did see a question come through about holidays and if they make changes to what we eat to like suit me, and I don't really think so. Um we still have like the main things that we eat. Like the first year post-op, I didn't really eat much. Or no, the first year I was almost a year post-op, but I just focused on what I could have, like turkey and maybe like a tablespoon of my favorite three sides. Um, so in that regard, we didn't change. When they come into town, we tend to eat out. So I tend to like get, what I get normally. And my parents do pretty good. Like they share meals and yeah.
So
But I don't
Nancy
know
and
that it's
Jack,
really changed.
has your food choices and things changed after being around Laura now for the past?
I think so, very much so. We're on this kick now of salads, and I never did that. We go out, I'd have big tenderloin sandwich, or a triple hamburger or something like that. Now we're completely, we don't even think about that. We try to find the place that have the best salads. So that's our
we do
life.
eat a lot of salad.
It's not a real exciting lifestyle, but
Well, I can back that up 1,000%. I mean, we've had patients come to us from Scotland, Canada. Apparently, Laura has a huge following in Illinois. Because everybody from there comes out, and the one thing they always, I mean, it seems as if they're best friends, Laura and whoever the patient is,
mhm.
and Laura has taken the time to respond to them and answer their questions. And, now they don't even have any questions for you. They just come in like, I'm ready. Let's do it. Like, well, hold on. But she really has had this impact that is
She has.
Yeah.
global. I mean, it really is global, giving hope to so many people. All right. So what was it like? Okay. So normal weight when she was little and then started to put on some weight. Could you tell a difference in her attitude, her behavior and stuff as the weight started to come on? Was she less outgoing, less happy? And did you ever have to have those conversations when she was a teenager about weight?
I don't think when she was growing up, she was really that moody or anything about her weight. I mean, I don't think it really stopped her from doing anything that she really wanted to do. She had a group of friends that they always hung out together, and I don't really think that bothered her. I remember, and I think she was about 5th or 6th grade we went to the doctor for like a well check or whatever. And he referred us to Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City for a weight class. They talked about exercise and diet and everything like that. And I mean, I feel like I was a failure to her because I didn't do the cooking and stuff, you know, like she should have had, or restricted the foods that she ate. You know, I mean, she's so good with her kids, you know, about you can't have this, but you can have this, or you know, you can make these choices or whatever.
Yes.
I didn't do that. You know, my parents were like raised on the farms, and you know that we always had gravy and all that good stuff for meals, you know. And so, and even to this day, she laughs. She goes, "You cook like 5 things, you know." I cook the way my
The
mother
same
cooked.
things I ate. Yeah,
Exactly. You know.
Do you remember that going to that visit, Laura?
I do. It was called like the Body Shop.
Body Shop,
And we
that's
went,
right.
I don't know how often, but like once a week.
Once a week, I think.
And I do remember it. I don't remember specifics, but that's the first time in my life I can remember like knowing that my weight was an issue. And like my mom said, I don't think it really affected me with my friends or being involved. I wasn't that heavy. I mean, I was overweight, but I wasn't, I don't know, like that heavy. And I remember in high school, I did do Weight Watchers. I don't know, like my sophomore year. And I got down, I remember it was like 135 pounds, and I felt so good.
Yeah, she looked
good. But I quickly put it back on.
No, was that your idea to go on Weight Watchers at that point?
I think so. My parents never, like I said, I always knew, and my grandma, like that was, my parents never really said much to me, but my grandma would give the jabs like, you know, I'm really worried about your weight. And I always tell my mom, I wish she was here now to see me because she would be like so happy. Because it was something I think that really, really bothered her.
It worried her.
But my parents, they never directly said anything.
Well, I mean, I'm going to cut you a lot of slack here, Nancy. My dad's a doctor, and I came home. I remember coming home from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade football practice, basketball practice, you know, and I would go to the fridge and get a Dr. Pepper. I mean, he was a physician.
Yeah.
And that's what we had in our house. So it wasn't, you know, it was, obesity wasn't like it is now, where you really have to have some of these tough conversations because you always think they're going to grow out of it. Something's going to get changed. You know, in hindsight's 2020. So it's, you know, and it was also the clean your plate. You're wasting money.
Exactly.
Phenomenon. And that was just a tough time. But that was what we talked about, Laura and I talked about last week, was how do you have these conversations with your kids? And I don't think there's a right way to do it. And, you know, I know you can look back on it and go, man, if I could have just intervened, could I have kept her from putting on all that weight? But, you know, to be honest, I don't think you could have. I mean, I really don't. And it is probably the hardest thing in the world. But now, you know, I think it's a lot easier now than it was back then to talk about weight because we know how bad it is for you.
Right.
Like, and you watch someone like Laura who's gone through it and come out on the other side. You know, her kids are you know, going to be in great shape.
Right.
You know, going forward.
I hope so.
Do you have any? What was when Laura was Colin's age? What was she like then? What was she like as a really young girl?
She was just always happy and, you know, just, you know, kind of like Colin. She was just a very cute little girl. She was my smallest baby, which I always was like, she was the smallest, yet she ended up being the biggest at one point. Now she's back to the smallest again. So, you know.
Yeah.
But she just, you know, she was the firstborn. So she was always the perfect child. You know, she never did anything wrong, really. You know, we laugh because, you know, her oldest Ryder I tease her about, oh yeah, Mr. Perfect, because he's just like his mom, But she was never any problem. I remember when she started driving, she got a ticket one day and called me at work, and I'm like, put the keys on the counter, you're done for a month, And I mean, that's the only time I can ever remember her being in trouble.
But then what happened when my sister and my brother got a ticket? Nothing.
They got to drive that day.
Yeah, exactly.
So Laura, you're the oldest, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the oldest too. And
Yep, the best.
I know we know the most, and the parents are the hardest on us.
Exactly.
I didn't get it.
Right.
I could probably do you one better. 2 weeks after getting my first car, or after turning 16, my dad had saved this old Buick, and he'd had it in storage for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
I started my summer job. I was so tired. I worked on a golf course on the grounds crew, and I wrecked it. I totaled it in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
He saved it for 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and 2 weeks later, it's gone.
Yeah. So your ticket, you're doing pretty good. But I think
Yeah, I
I could.
guess.
My younger sister probably could have totaled 3 cars and never been in trouble. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and she was the type, if she got in trouble, she didn't hound you about, can I have the car? Can I have the car? She just took her punishment and lived with it, where the other two would drive me completely crazy, so it's like, go, do whatever, So.
what? Okay. So do you have any kind of dirt you want to give us on Laura? Any
Hey.
stories? I know everybody is going to want to hear that big time.
I mean, like I say, she just really never caused us any trouble,
It's true.
There was, all the time growing up, when we talk about college, she wanted to go to Missouri. I'm going to MU. She wouldn't even look at any other college when it came college time, So she goes to MU. About the end of her first semester, she's like, I don't want to come back here. I'm going to change schools. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not. You're going to go to MU. And so I made her stay for the next semester because she'd never even wanted anything else. So it's like, what are you going to do if you don't go to MU, So she did go for the next semester, and she was going to be a teacher. And she says now, thank God I didn't do that, So after the first full year at MU, she transferred to Central Missouri State at the time. I don't know what it's called now. They've changed their name so many times.
UCM.
Yeah. And became a nurse. And, even with becoming a nurse and knowing all the stuff that she knew about health and everything, she still had problems, with her weight. She and I both have a sweet tooth that won't stop. And, she's got hers under control really well. I still fight mine.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you got on into the prophy phase of your life?
I have not. I need to.
Let me tell you something, Dr. Roller. My parents, when I tell you they eat the same 5 things, they eat the same 5 things. My mom will not try anything new. I'm not kidding.
We need to get her one of those mixers up there.
We do.
Yeah.
I need to try her vanilla latte that they just came out with.
So good.
She tells me how good it is. I need to try it.
Yeah,
but that is one thing I've always admired about her. Even we would go to like fitness trainers and stuff. And I remember this one saying, telling her to use cottage cheese to blend it with something. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that just sounds disgusting, And she'd go home and she'd try. And I mean, this was when I think you were in college at the time, that Twin Fitness that we went to.
I didn't even know that was a thing back then. That's like all the rage now.
Yeah. And
cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese.
She would try that and she'd say, oh yeah, this is really good. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not eating that, but she's always been very open to trying anything, and she's very good about eating all kinds of food that, like she says, I won't eat or I won't try. So I'm not a good role model that way.
I feel like I do want to touch on when my mom said about Mizzou and she wouldn't let me come home. I think that's one thing my parents did really well. So my dad, like he said, was in broadcasting and had done a story on karate or something like that.
Right.
And they talked about the
Yeah.
kids being very disciplined. And so my
Right.
parents thought it would be a good idea to sign all of us up for taekwondo.
That's
So
right.
they signed us up for karate. And of course, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like,
Right.
I want to quit. They're like, no, when you start something, you finish it. They made us go until we had a black belt in karate.
How about that?
Hold
No
on.
joke.
You have
She-
a black belt in karate?
She does.
I do.
And she can break
I have broke
boards.
You
boards.
can break those boards too, just snap them. You know?
How are we all just now hearing about this? That has to be your next. That's got to be your next reel. I want to see your karate outfit on and you break a board.
Yeah.
I want to
exactly.
see that too.
I can see her in that outfit. Boy, she didn't really want to go into practice a lot of times, but once
But
she
it
got
is
in,
one thing. They said, like, when you start something, you finish it. And I feel like it kind of holds true to my weight loss journey. When I started, like, I go all in and I'm going to finish it. So
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Nancy and Jack, what did y'all when she said she was going to Arkansas to have surgery? I mean, we already know it. A lot of people think. What did you think about that?
thought fine.
I don't
we're
think
just happy.
I don't think traveling to Arkansas
No.
bothered me. It was just the fact that she was going to do this and how it was going
Okay.
to impact her life. One of the things that I did worry about when she first told me about this was I knew her eating. She said I can't have caffeine or carbonation. I can't have caffeine. I can't do this. I can't do that. And all I could think about was having a family meal. How is she ever going to have a family meal when she can't eat like they can eat? And
Right.
and that was because, one of the things we did pretty much all the time she was growing up, we always sat down and had meals together. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, how are they ever going to be able to do that? So, but yeah, traveling to Arkansas, that didn't bother me. I was just worried about, all the other stuff about how she was going to deal with it after the fact and all that.
Right. Yeah, you figured she probably had done her research already and found the best looking, best doctor out there, that kind of thing.
yeah.
Well,
Good. That's the answer I was looking for, and
Right.
just in case you're wondering.
I knew
just
once
off
she
the top of my head, right?
I knew
Yeah.
once she had made up her mind that was where she was going to go and what she was going to do. There was nothing going to change her mind. So, I might as well go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great to
True.
hear. So, all in all, positive experience for you two getting to see this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you would have told me 2 years after surgery she would be in the place she's in today, I would have never in a million years believed it, and all this deal, all her influencer stuff. I tell people, when we talk about it, I'm like, and what's funny, she didn't intend to go this route. She was just wanting to share her journey.
Mhm.
And people saw how impactful her journey was to everybody and what a difference she was making in people's lives. And I'm just so proud that she's changed so many people's lives,
And what you see on those little podcasts are what you get. There's no
Right.
question about it. She's real to the bone. And
Yep.
it to me, I've been in broadcasting my whole career, and you see a lot of different stuff. A lot of people aren't
Right.
exactly the way they should be, and I'm probably not either. But with Laura, there was never a doubt. When I'd watch her, how she commanded. She had total command of what she was doing. And when the kids would come running in and Collins would grab her, she'd be so real. There's
Yep.
nothing phony. And I'm just so proud of you, honey. I really am.
Thanks, Dad.
I will tell you on that note that I've learned a lot from her. a lot. And I learn a lot from a lot of my patients. I mean, it is kind of, it's just always interesting. But just from when she's doing her stories on Instagram and reels, and whenever I'm doing some stuff for social media, and I'm like telling my kids to shh, quiet, I'm on that, and then one of them drops a pencil, and I'm like, oh, I gotta start over.
I got you, Doc.
I mean, that's how I've been. And then this happened probably about a year ago when Laura and I started kind of doing our stuff. And I kind of was getting unraveled a little bit. My wife said, do you not understand that people don't care about that? I mean, just look at Laura.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, and so that's why everyone says the one word, I mean, Jack, you couldn't have said it more perfect. The one word that I always hear about her is real.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just real. I mean, she'll get up out of bed at 3 a.m. and start filming, and you're like, okay, this is good. Maybe I can
with my
have some
crazy hair.
Yeah, maybe I can have some messed up hair at some point, and but it really works. So you gotta sharing your journey. I mean, that's how it started, and now she's doing it on a level that's awesome. But that is what I love about bariatric surgery patients, is that they are always willing to help the person who needs help, but maybe doesn't know it yet. And, there are some people out there that have the surgery and don't tell anybody. And then when somebody asks them, like, how did you lose your weight? Oh, good food choices, exercise. And it's the most demoralizing thing to that person, because they're like, I don't understand. I do those same things and it's not working for me.
Right.
And so I think it is critical to let people know that you did it, and, how it works. And hey, maybe I had a rough patch here, but this is what I was doing wrong. I mean, there's so much to be learned from each other. And so sharing her story, I mean, she has helped. I can't even tell you how many people. It's probably not even, you probably can't even count it. So it's been pretty awesome.
That's great.
Well, and I admire that in her reels or stories. I don't know what the difference is really, but I know I watch them. And
don't worry, I'm learning about it too. So,
and she's always put that one picture she uses a lot in that leopard outfit. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there is no way I would want people seeing me like, I admire that she isn't ashamed to show that, because I mean, that's where she was, and now she's where she is, and she's got to take credit for how well she's done,
That I do things on that. Like, I wouldn't be here without that girl. Like, right. That girl is the one that said, I need help, and it's okay to ask for help, and put in the work to get to here. So it's okay to honor my old self.
It's it's honestly just you give people a lot of hope. I mean, I think that's the thing, because there's millions of people that are look at you and go, I'm like her, and look at her now. I can do that. I mean, she's doing freaking pull-ups right now, and that's
kind of, but
well, listen, if you ever can do more pull-ups than me, I'm going to I don't know what I'm going to do. So
okay, bring it on.
we're never going to have that challenge.
Hey, Doc, I'm going to get you a picture that I go to spring training every year, so I went down, got my stuff done, and Nancy brought Laura down, and George Brett, Brett was going for, going to bat 400, and the big year was coming up. And so I said, Brett, I want you to see my little daughter here. And he took her and held her and looked at her. She had this little outfit on. Nancy got her the greatest little outfit. And then when she grew up, she says, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that. I didn't know who that guy was, But anyhow, it was good.
George Brett. So I had so famous Kansas City Royal. I had 2 posters, full size posters in my room growing up, that my had to fight my mom about every year about having that on the painted walls. One was Larry Bird, who Laura didn't know who that was.
I told her she should be ashamed. Her dad was a sportscaster.
I know. And the other one was George Brett.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, he was my favorite baseball player of all time. So I loved the Royals.
Well, one of the questions, Dad, people asked was, are the Royals going to the World Series? Or is it the World Series? Yeah, it's the World Series.
Yeah.
Are the Royals going all the way?
Well,
no, it's the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
They're pretty
Well,
good,
it wasn't written, so I was like, oh, did I say the right thing?
Yeah, well, they waited 30 years between World Series, and they finally got their second one in 2015. And yeah, I think they got a good chance. I don't know if they'll go to the World Series. I think they'll be in the playoffs. And for a team that was losing 100 games a year, that speaks pretty well. I think if they win 85 games, they got a chance to win the division, and you go from there. But don't take that information to the bank.
Don't go make a bet on that.
Yeah, they're gonna use that and say Jack Henry told me.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't go to the casino and bet that.
That's good.
Well, this has been a lot of fun for me. I really appreciate you two joining us and doing this with Laura and I, because it has got to be hard to watch your child go through what she went through and then have surgery. I mean, that's scary. Mm-hmm. And then, but I mean, what a blessing and what a reward. And thank you to y'all for being great parents and getting her through all this.
For doing,
thank you for
an amazing
making
job.
her transformation happen. And Luke.
That's what I say. Dr. Roller is where it started. He changed my life.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say you're changing our lives now. So that's it's been a lot of fun. So really, thank you too for joining us. And if you felt like having any autographed George Brett stuff sent our way, that would be,
Well, you can come see my basement, my little man cave.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I may need to, because when they make it to the Super Bowl this year, we'll be.
You'll have to come to Kansas City for that Super Bowl.
Guys, come on.
All right. Well, again, thank you to all our listeners. This has been awesome, and we're going to start rolling out kind of this new format of having some guests, and I think we're going to really try to get into some controversial type topics coming up, and see where that takes us, because there's a lot of stuff out there. So thank you for joining us. We're on YouTube, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify. Please, comment, like, share, and leave us questions about topics you'd like to see. But again, thank you to Nancy and Jack for joining us. Thank you, Laura. This has been a lot of fun. We hope to.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
You guys, everybody, have a great week, and we'll do it again next week.
All right. See you next week, guys.